We are live on Facebook. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our Consular Services Q&A. My name is Angela Samos. I'm here with Carolina Rendeiro. Hi, Carolina. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good, good. So apologize if there's a lot of background noise. I'm actually at a cafe in Portugal today. So
it's not a backdrop. It's actually the real thing.
Yeah, exactly. But as always, we have a lot of questions to address that have come in actually via email since our last session. And so we can jump right in. And then, of course, if you are watching this on Zoom or on Facebook and you have your own questions, please type them in the chat and we will answer them live as time allows. So one of the first questions that came in was a situation that actually was very similar to mine when going after citizenship, which was the woman was trying to get citizenship through her mother, but her mom's name on her US passport was different than was on her birth certificate. Was that correct, Carolina? And because of that, they didn't match, and so Portugal wouldn't accept it, and you couldn't kind of translate that. So can you, I know you actually spoke with that person, can you kind of walk us through what the requirement was? Because I had the same issue with my grandmother, right. And I ended up having to just apply through marriage. It kind of completely eliminated the option for me to go through lineage. So if you could kind of walk through that, I think that would be important for people to know.
Yeah, so as I mentioned to her, so what's happened is a lot of people, especially those that came back through the 40s and 50s through Ellis Island, some of their names were changed as they were registered, right? So, and others, you know, depending on where they lived in the United States, also modernized their Portuguese name to fit into those communities at that time, which was very, you know, something that was norm. When I spoke to her, and I had already had spoken with one of my colleagues too, is that it does, you can get that done. I mean, you can eventually get it done. It just takes a long time because you're going to have to deal with the change of name that happened in the United States and why. Okay, so, and then then you have to go back to her original documents. So it's very tedious. So if you can actually do it through a spouse, it's easier to do it that way, all right? Because the majority of those people were all married in Portugal anyway, and registered, their marriages were registered there under their birth certificate name and their married name. And it was not under the name that was on their US passport. So, I mean, the same thing happened to me when I went for my passport. It still had my married name on it because it had never been taken off. And so I had to wait for that to get done as well. So I think that is, it's a tedious process. It can happen, but it's going to take a long time to get through all the documents because at that point you're dealing with US government, with the Portuguese government, and then, you know, let's just throw in COVID, the pandemic, that's all this is still going to take us another year or so. I know on a State Department level, we're backlogged for over a year, okay, on the US side. So I can only imagine on the side of Portugal, how backlogged everything is. So to that person that is looking to do this, now, if you still are the only possibility you have of attaining your citizenship through this is through your parents, then you're going to have to go the route with, you know, getting the name change document, you know, from the State Department as to why that name was changed, when it was changed, and connecting it back to the dots, and that takes a while. Are you frozen? Can you hear me? So I think the screen has frozen. All right, so I continue. If anybody has questions, you can roll them into me. I don't know why. Let's see. Okay, are we back? All right.
Are we back? Yes, and we're live on Facebook too. So sorry about that. I'm on my phone now, which I think is going to be more stable than my computer, crazy enough. So I'm sorry, you were explaining the situation. I actually had a question about, you know, when you had to do your name change. So did you have to get
is there like a name change document, or did you just have to get your passport redone in your, without your married name? Like what was the?
I actually I contracted with a lawyer in Portugal to go handle that for me at the Consular Services, because there'd be no way I could do it, other than me physically being there. So I gave her the power of attorney to go and do that. And there's quite a few lawyers that do that in Lisbon. If anybody needs recommendations, more than happy, myself or other consulate offices can, recommend local people there that go there. You give them the power of attorney, they go and research your documents. My issue was that my divorce was never recorded. So it still showed in the registry that I was married. So it was under my married name. And I really didn't want to have, a US passport under my maiden name and a Portuguese passport under a married name that didn't exist. So, but there are attorneys that handle that. It's, it's cost effective and it gets done quickly.
Okay. Another question that came in was someone whose both of her parents were Portuguese citizens, or I think we forwarded this one to you as well, Caroline. Do you remember? They're both Portuguese, but they were married in Venezuela. And so I think they still needed to register their marriage in Portugal because they were married in Venezuela. But then they also got divorced, which means they have to register the divorce in Portugal as well, right? So can you kind of walk through that?
Right. So Venezuela is a special circumstance, okay? And I'm not up to speed on all the Venezuelan stuff because that's not my forte. Even though we get a lot of Venezuelans here in Miami, my colleague is the one that handles that. But they do definitely have to have that marriage registered and divorce registered. Now, in certain cases, that was being done at the Portuguese consulate office in Venezuela. Okay, because of what was going on there. Now, I don't know if that's continued to be that way or if they still have to do this via Portugal. That's an answer that I can actually ask the embassy for and get that answer, but I don't have that answer. Like, they're legit. I know that there are special rules and regs on Venezuelans because of the situation.
Got it. And when they register their marriage and register their divorce, do they have to go together to the consulate to do that, or can they do it individually? Because I know there's some in-person requirement, but I wasn't, there was also a question of what that.
Yeah, I mean, on the divorce, they don't have to be together as long as they have all the documentation of the divorce. Usually if you're registering your marriage, they always come in together because normally they're registering for a purpose of either one of the spouses securing citizenship through the other, or maybe they're registering their children to be citizens and they have to both be there for those purposes. So.
Got it. Okay. So just a reminder to all those watching on Facebook, if you have questions about consular services that you need to know a process, or you're in the middle of something and, you're not quite sure where to go from there, please type your questions in the chat and we will answer them as we can. Another question that had come in was about the San Francisco consulate specifically and their scheduling system online. And if you go to their site, unfortunately, it shows no appointments available. And what you have to do, at least this is what we've been told, is actually just go to the website every day and see if an appointment has opened up because of a cancellation. So I know it's not the most, efficient solution, but it's what we have right now. So because they are so busy and they are so backlogged. And I will also say, if you're going to make an appointment, make sure you show up because if you don't show up, then you're taking an appointment away from somebody that actually really needs to go and do something. So please do that.
Yeah, I'll definitely reinforce that because we've had some no-shows in Miami, and I actually keep a flowing list now of people that live nearby. And when I tell them I'm going to put you on a wait list, I always say, you need to get here like within 30 minutes if I call you to take an appointment. And there are people that are willing to do that. So because we only have, 4.5 days here in Miami a month. So.
So we have a question that just came in. I am a U.S. citizen. I have gotten my certificate for citizenship, but now I want to get my passport, but I live in San Diego. I have been in contact with the consulate here in San Diego, but the gentleman is refusing to see me. He only states he has no appointments. This was before COVID. So do you have any recommendations? I'm originally from Rhode Island, which is how I got the paperwork. So in San Diego, that's not an actual consulate, it's an honorary consul, and they have to do, the only time they can do appointments is when they do, oh gosh, I forget what they're called, permanencia consular, right? And that's when the staff from the consulate in San Francisco actually goes down to San Diego, and they spend 2 or 3 days and just fill up the days of the appointments. And that's really the only way that, unless you're going to travel from San Diego all the way up to San Francisco for an appointment outside of those. So given that he's not able to get an appointment, what would you recommend for him?
Okay, so there are going to be, I know that Houston opened up for a few days coming up, I guess in May, isn't it? And then they're going to do it again in November. I mean, you can try to go to another location and get an appointment depending on the urgency that you need. But if you can still stay within your district, that's easier for everybody. But I know, and I repeat this every time we do these calls, the embassies and the consulate offices are still, in shifts of people coming in and going out. And so, and a lot of them are under COVID restrictions still. So with that being said, that's probably one of the main reasons for a market like San Francisco to be so backed up too, just like New York and New Bedford. And the Portuguese government is trying to help by setting up these permanências, okay? Even though I'm an honorary consul, I don't do the passports. Here's what I do. I answer phones, I send emails, I set up all the appointments, and then my colleague comes down who is an employee of the ministry, and he's the one that does all that. And that's what we do in 4.5 days, once a month in Miami. So I think that this is a good model, what's been happening here. And maybe it may be a future model, that they might consider. I would, highly recommend it. It's kind of, it helps those areas where the honorary consuls are, because we do get the asks. And I mean, and it's also on a university level, businesses that are coming into the United States now and need to have things done locally. And so I think it's something that should be on the radar. But getting back to this gentleman, he can try, to get an appointment somewhere else. Just means that he's going to travel there to get it done.
Right.
And remember that once you travel out of your district, for example, let's just say you came to Miami or to Houston for your ID card, you're going to have to physically go back there to go pick up that ID card, because we can't mail the ID cards, all right? So you look.
That's a good thing to remember. Like even if you go somewhere else, you're going to have to go there again.
Yeah, the passports are sent directly to your home. However, the ID cards, you have to physically come and pick them up.
Got it. Okay. And the gentleman that asked that question, he asked if we could post the website. I'm not quite sure what website he's asking for. So if you could clarify that in the chat, and then we will post the website. Another one, this one's fairly simple. I have been married 25 years to my husband, who's from Portugal. We are in the process of getting dual citizenship. My children's paperwork seems to be okay. That's good. They want, however, letters from people showing my ties to Portugal and the Portuguese culture, and I would say also the Portuguese community here in the States. Do you have any suggestions, and what type of letters should I ask for? I belong to different online groups. However, I can't imagine they would be willing to write a letter. I'm at a loss. From my experience, these are letters from people that would, demonstrate that you either have volunteered for an organization, that you have made sure that your kids are in Portuguese school, anything that can show a tie to the community here, right? And, perhaps I'll do a little plug for PALCUS on this one. If you become a member of PALCUS, we can write a letter verifying your membership. Mm-hmm. So as we can't do an endorsement letter, but we can say we verified this person is a member. and they have participated in many of our events, something like that. So that's an option for people who need the letter thing because of applying through marriage. What else would you recommend, Carolina?
The Portuguese clubs and the community wherever she's in. I mean that, engaging in them with them and some of their festivities and some of their programs that they do, and even becoming a local member there. It's good for the whole family as a whole. That would be it, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't see that it's not like letters of. It's just that you're engaged in your community. It's just like, when foreign citizens looking to engage here in the United States, they too have to come up with some of these letters of recommendations or endorsements or whatever for them to verify that they are really who they are.
Right. Okay, next one. We did get an email also from a woman that was just having some general challenges in like paperwork and things like that. Not having a receipt, and then the consul where she's at saying, oh no, you didn't pay, things like that. So just some general advice. I'll give my 2 cents, and then Carolina, you can weigh in with your 2 cents, that if you are going to go, make sure you have an appointment. You can't just show up, especially now during COVID times. So make sure you have an appointment. Secondly, if you are going to pay, most consulates prefer cash and like exact change. So you may want to email them and ask them how much it's going to be so that you can go prepared with the right amount of cash. And then secondly, make sure that you get a receipt and you take the receipt with you, or take a picture of it or something like that. Because you're going to need proof that you paid, because especially if it's cash, there's no credit card, record, there's no check, carbon paper, anything like that. So those would be my key recommendations on that. Anything else you'd like to add on that, Carolina?
Yeah, so here's what I tell people here is that here we accept money orders that are made out to the Embassy of Portugal. If they want to pay with a money order, then they'll have that receipt as well. We also, my colleague does write out all the receipts out of our receipt book. They're all stamped with the seal of for that they received the payment. I also tell people when they start folding that little paper up and then just sticking it in somewhere and they're never going to find it again, that they should take a photo of it with their smartphone before they lose it, because that receipt's going to be everything that they're going to need, because they're going to also need that receipt. We ask for them to have that receipt when they come and pick up their card as well. So, and that kind of scares them, because I think they feel like I'm not going to let them have their card or whatever if they don't show me the receipt. But it's just that, I'm guilty of it too. You get a small receipt, which this is a very small receipt, and then you keep folding it up, it goes in, and then it goes in the trash or whatever. But it has it has the number on it that was referenced, that the payment was received and it was entered into the system. And so you need to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have another good question from Samantha. Question about traveling to Portugal this summer. We are a family of 6, but only 4 of us have Portuguese citizenship. Well, the other 2, my husband and youngest daughter, need a visa to enter Portugal this summer. We are all American citizens. My daughter's paperwork is in process, but my husband hasn't been able to apply yet. I've been told he needs to apply in Lisbon. Is that true? We go to the Palm Coast Consulate. Thank you so much for doing these sessions. First, you're welcome, Samantha. We're happy to do them. I can tell you my experience. So I am not yet a Portuguese citizen, but my husband is, and my daughter is as well. And because I'm immediate family, I was able to travel with them. But we did have to take a certified copy of our marriage certificate, and we did have to show it at the airport. We also had to show COVID tests. And I will say, be sure to check the requirements of every country that you have a layover in, because and check them every day before you leave, because they could change. What happened to us, we were flying through Germany. So from San Francisco to Germany and then to Lisbon, we got the required test in time, 72 hours. But when we got to the airport, they said, oh, sorry, a day and a half ago, Germany changed their requirement and it's a 48-hour test. So you got to go over there and pay $260 a person and take new tests. And it's very much an unexpected expense that we had to do, but it was either do that or not get on the plane. But as far as traveling, immediate family, if I'm not mistaken, right, Carolina, can travel to the US, but like our niece couldn't come, or like I don't think my mom could come with us because my husband is the citizen, not me, right? So if you want to expand a little bit about that. And then I don't know the answer to the question of that he has to apply in Lisbon. So if you want to address that too.
Yeah, I would have to know more about that. But so on the travel component of this, so if one of the spouses is a Portuguese citizen with a Portuguese passport, then the children and the other spouse can travel with that person because of immediate family. So it's children, husband and wife. It's not, in-laws or anything like that. When the COVID testing, if you're going from point A to point B, I mean, I'm doing this in March myself, in May. I could have gone on American where I'm a million miler, but I'm going on TAP. Why? Because of the same issue that you confronted. Because if I go through the UK, I probably can't get in. If I go through Spain and they shut down, I can't get in. So those are, I highly recommend you do point A to point B on that. I don't know who in her family has the passport. If it's the husband's obviously not, maybe it's her, but then the whole crew can travel that way. As for why they have to do it in Portugal, I don't know why that's popping up that way. And it could be though, if the marriage isn't registered there.
The only thing I will say is so I'm applying through marriage as well. And I was advised from the consulate in San Francisco that it's better if you're going to apply through marriage to send the paperwork directly to the registro in Lisbon. So I haven't gone there yet, but I did send my paperwork directly. So maybe that's what they heard, that if they are applying through marriage, then her husband's can just send his paperwork direct to Lisbon and not to the consulate. So that could be it as well. There's another question via chat on Zoom. So let me just get it. Hold on. Okay, so my husband was born in San Miguel, left at age 2 to Bermuda. His birth certificate is registered. He became a British citizen. Now he lives in the US. We are told he needs to get his cartão de cidadão. Where can we find the forms and what needs to be submitted for that appointment when it becomes available?
Okay, so he's actually, well, that's a tricky one because of the UK now too. So we would have to ask the embassy on that one. But for him to get his birth certificate and all, that would be done through San Miguel. I mean, he could, with somebody, if he still has family there, if not, to just contact an attorney there, that they will go to the registry and get that information. I mean, it costs a couple of $100, but it saves you a lot of time and energy on it too. So what is she saying? I have his birth certificate.
She says he has, yeah. So I think it's a matter of, okay, so they have the birth certificate. So how does he, like, what form does he have to fill out to then just get his cartão de cidadão? Like, hey, here, I was born there. Here's my birth certificate. I need my citizenship card.
Right. So he needs to go, if you post the website on there, tell him to go under, what is it? Hold on. No, but he's got his birth certificate. He was born there. Did he? And he didn't renounce his citizenship. Did he renounce his citizenship? When he became the UK
I don't think so.
Okay.
Charlie, if you could answer if he renounced his citizenship. It doesn't sound like it. No, he left at age 2, never went back. Okay.
Yeah, so he's going to have to apply, just as, if I'm not mistaken, okay? And we'll just put this on question on one to be asked of my director at the embassy. But I would think, this is just me saying it out loud and based on what I've been doing the past year and a half, is that he's going to have to basically apply because he hasn't been there since he's 2 years old. So he's going to have to show more documentation. But we can get him that list. I really don't have the straight answer and I don't want to give you misinformation. But
Okay.
we will get that answered for you. And if she wants to send an email to you or me, then we can go
Yeah.
ahead and get it answered even before the next series we do. Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point, and thank you for reminding me. If you have a question, you can send them to consularquestions@palcus.org, and we will do our best to answer your question. If we don't have the answer, we will get answer and we'll send you the whatever website you need to go to. Another point here for Samantha, who says she is a citizen, and their marriage is registered, and her husband will apply for Portuguese citizenship through marriage. So, Samantha, we can send you, if you could send us your email at consularquestions@palcus.org. I will send you the link to the website that actually details the list of all the documents that you need to apply through marriage. And one thing to remember is you need to print anything you have to print. You have to print it on size A4 paper. And if you
Right.
can't buy it, take it to Kinko's or some printing, printer mat or whatever, and make sure it's A4. And I will tell you, my Kinko's didn't have it. So they took 11 by 17 and cut it to be the right size. So where there's a will, there's a way, right? All right, so it looks like we have another question here. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. All right, Q&A. I have been trying to renew my cartão de cidadão. It expired, but my nearest consulate is in San Francisco and he lives in Arizona. And their website offers no appointments whatsoever for any service. When I've emailed them for more info, they redirect me to their online appointment calendar, but it is not working. There are no spots at all for any service. I know for like the rest of this year, 2022, 23, yeah. All right, so we, as I mentioned earlier, with the San Francisco consulate specifically, it's not the best solution, but what you have to do is check every day, and eventually an appointment will open up, and it might not be the time or day that you can do it, but you just have to keep checking every day. And I will say, once you have that appointment, try and really stick to it, especially for if you're coming from out of state, right? And if you want to verify that you have all your paperwork in order, because what's going to be terrible is if you fly all that way, get there for the appointment, and they say, oh, sorry, you are missing this, right? So if you want, again, email us at consularquestions@palcus.org, kind of detail all the paperwork that you have, and we'll, make sure that you've got everything you need to go for your appointment. Anything else you want to add to that? We have another question that came in, but anything you want to add to that?
Yeah,
Carolina,
that's pretty much it. And
the guy from Arizona.
I kind of said, like now for COVID vaccines, you're doing the same thing. You go online and you're trying every day to see what time or whatever you can get. It's basically what's happening at the embassies. And if it's any consolation, it's just not with the Portuguese. It's happening with every country, especially out of the EU and even with US. I mean, US has just really started opening up, I think about 8 weeks ago. For the first time. So, on passports and everything else. So.
Okay, question here is not really related to consular issues, but could be useful information. Can you discuss the programs Portugal has in place for Portuguese citizens living abroad who are thinking of moving their families back to Portugal? Sorry if you have discussed these in other sessions. No, we haven't, Samantha, don't worry. So I know there are programs like that. I don't know what they're called though. So Carolina, do you know?
Yeah, so there's the one called Regressar a Portugal. Okay, that's one of the programs that's out there. If you go on the portal of the Comunidades, the Portuguese community portal that the government has on there, you'll see, and Angela, you guys can put that in chat, or people can email you for this. I don't know it off the top of my head. But in there, you're going to see the site is actually a very good site. Okay, it's easy to navigate. It's in English and in Portuguese, and you can see the different programs that are available and kind of pick and choose what best fits your needs of you and your family. Some of them are, to start businesses in Portugal, that you're coming back. There's some requirements that you have had to have lived abroad a certain amount of time before coming back. And so to benefit from these. So I think it's good. I mean, I have some, my daughter's looking at it. who was born there, came here, wants to go back. There's quite a few. You're starting to see the generation of the 30, 40-year-olds looking at it. I think COVID has accelerated a lot of people's way of thinking about work and stuff, and especially with some things that have been going on in the island of Madeira, where they're making it a nomad island for work and stuff like that. I think it's all tying in, but it's on that website. And I encourage people that are looking at that to, there's some really good programs out there that the government has put out.
Yeah, so it looks like, I know Grassi just posted the program regressar.gov.pt. So go to that website. And I'm going to take a minute here to ask people that if you like this webinar series, if you think it's useful, please send us stars on the Facebook Live. It's just a small way that you can show your support for PALCUS and your appreciation for us doing these sessions. And if you want to go one step further, please become a member of PALCUS. Carolina is a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. All of our board members are volunteers. So, we're doing this, because we love our community and we want what's best for our community. But having the support of the community through membership and donations is also very helpful, and it helps keep us being able to do these kinds of sessions and do them for free for the community. So I just want to give a little plug for PALCUS there. Send us stars and also consider becoming a member. I don't have any more questions at this point, Carolina, but I think like last time, we have some homework to do with some questions to go clarify. And I'll just remind everybody again, if you think of questions afterwards, please email us at consularquestions@palcus.org. And we're happy to help any way we can. So thanks again, Carolina. You're always so helpful.
Well, I also want to put a plug out there for Miami. Anybody waiting on me to send them the confirmations for the upcoming week of April 19th, those are all going out over, between now and Saturday. I have been diligently working on them. So you don't have to send me any more emails or any more calls. I will get them out, but I have to do a system on it, and I'm only one person. But I wanted to throw that out there for anybody from Miami or anybody else that's coming in and wanted to know about it. They're coming.
Give her a break, people. She's doing the best job she can.
Thank you. I really appreciate doing this. I feel like I'm doing a little bit to help even our colleagues at the consular offices, because they are right now overwhelmed, and we're just trying to help each other. And if we can answer the questions that will kind of make your experience at the consulate better, and help the consulate staffers as well with you coming with the proper documentation, that is our mission right now. So thank you, everybody.
Yep. Oh, we have one more question here. Sorry, before we jump, we've got 1 minute. Please clarify what is needed to bring a car to Portugal. Do you know that, or should we answer that in our next session?
No, I don't know. You can go on the website, and under there, it has actually under certificates is where you're going to find it, and it'll be transport of car. It's in Portuguese and in English what you need to do with it. It's on the embassy website. Go to Consular Services. Go to Consular section, Consular Services. Then under certificates, you'll see they'll have different travel. They'll have baggage certificate, car transport, and you can the documents will be there that you need to complete and then take to your local consulate for it to be recognized and then attached with the shipment of who's handling the shipment of it. Okay.
Okay, great. Uh-oh, did we freeze? I may have frozen.
Yeah, did I?
Oh, okay, we're back. All right, everybody. Thank you again, Carolina. Really appreciate it. It's a pleasure as always. Thanks everybody for watching. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.